Hello, Spanish 2-3. We're going to start with Unit 24 today. We're going to take a look at the agenda for the week. We have our calendar, our essential questions, and vocabulary will be on technology, and grammar is on possessive adjectives and pronouns. And I did give you a practice worksheet for possessive adjectives that we're going to work on today's session. So you should have that. And then those of you who are joining me via Blackboard Collaborate, I have done the file transfer, so make sure that you print that out or you open up that document so you can follow along with us. Okay, here is the week 8 calendar for Spanish 2. As you can see, we're finishing up our Unit 23. We're going to have on Friday our text, our multiple choice test, to make sure you complete that. And then you also need to turn in your essential question 8 response. Next week on Monday is when we start Unit 24, and that's what we're going to go over today. We're going to go over the vocabulary and the grammar, give you a preview of that. And then when we come back, if you have any questions next session, we can go over those questions for the new unit. But if you have any questions about this unit we're going over, we can go over that at the end of the session as well. Okay, here is the essential question. So if you're taking notes, you can write that down. You can turn in these notes to your homeroom teacher, or you can turn in the practice worksheet we're going to go over today as evidence that you've been working in this class. So the essential question is, what are possessive adjectives in Spanish, and when do we use them? So it's a two-part question here. So first of all, what are they, and when do we use them in Spanish? Okay. We have that. Let's move on. Let me know if you guys see if anyone's asking any questions. Okay, so I gave you the vocabulary list right here. And you have this one. And make sure that you print it out. If not, if you're meeting with me in these sessions, I'll make sure to have a copy for you so you can go over it. We have 4 sets for this week, and I'll go over them right now just so that you can hear it in Spanish. So we have palabras útiles. We have la red, or la internet, that's the internet. We have el correo electrónico, that's email. Okay. El correo no deseado, that's your junk mail. En línea, so if you're saying you're online, that's what you would say. El sitio web, website. El ratón is the mouse. And our set number 2 is virtual, that's virtual. And all of these apply to our online school that we have. You can use this vocabulary. La sala de charla is the chat room. El archivo is the file. La carpeta is the folder. That was one of our false cognates, you guys remember. Carpeta is not carpet. Okay, it's actually folder. Then we have el directorio, directory. Software is software, and software same thing. Okay. El programa, el mensaje instantáneo. Okay. Not sure how many of you use that now, so this might be a little old. And we have la palabra clave. Your keyword, that's what you need. What do you need to get into K-12? You need 2 things. Username and password. Yeah. So we have your password would be la palabra clave. Your username, actually they don't have it here, but it would be tu nombre usuario. Okay, your username. El sistema operativo. And then these are our signs right here, our symbols. Punto, arroba, y con. Same thing for that last one. And some of the verbs that can be very useful when you're talking about technology are bajar, is to download. Navegar is to surf if you're surfing the web. Hacer clic, to click something. Guardar is to save. Copiar, to copy. And then when you start a session or you log in, conectarse, iniciar sesión. And when you log out or you close your session, cerrar sesión. Okay? So you will be responsible of these vocabulary words and the verbs for Unit 24. We're going to do some practice together. Okay, number 1, let's work on this. And I'm going to give my students online an opportunity to participate. So number 1, necesito que tirar todo de, which one would we use? El correo no deseado o el sitio web? Okay. What is necesito que tirar? What does that mean? Necesito, to need. Tirar, what is that verb? Throw away. Throw away. So you're throwing away, what would you need to throw away? Everything that is either in your junk email or website. So the one that would make more sense would be which one? El correo no deseado, or junk mail. Okay, let's try number 2. Para no perder mis archivos, and this should be with all the work that you do. Okay, so mis archivos es importante en una carpeta. So carpeta is part of our vocabulary. What is that? Folder. So folder. So we know this one's folder. So perder, to lose, in order not to lose los archivos.
Archivos is file?
Yeah, so for you not to lose your files, it's important to link in your file.
Guardarlos.
Guardarlos. Guardarlos is what? To save, yes. So you want to save all your files in a folder. So for number 1, we said A, right? And for number 2, same thing? Okay. Okay, let's do a couple more. Para conectarme a K12 necesito que escribir mi nombre de usuario y we just went over that. Palabra clave, yes. So to connect to K12, you're going to need your username and your password. Okay. Para hablar con otras personas por la red, yo uso, so you're talking to other people. Okay. Por la red, so that's part of your vocabulary too. You should know what that one is if you look in here. What is la red? Same thing as yes, internet. So for you to be able to communicate with other people on the internet, what are you going to use? El ratón o la sala de chat? What's el ratón? What's el ratón? Mouse. Mouse, so that one makes sense. And what's la sala de charla? Chat room. Yes. Okay. So for this one, we have palabra clave y la sala de charla. Okay. So now we're going to get into the grammar part. And that's where we're going to practice these, okay? So we have possessive pronouns and adjectives. And for this week, I'm asking you to really focus on just the adjectives, okay, for the essential questions. So they are used to show ownership. Okay, think of possessive, possession. And in Spanish, they need to agree in gender and number with the noun they modify. So this is kind of like our standard rule. Most of the time, everything that we use for grammar needs to agree in gender and number. Okay, so I want you to watch this video so you understand the possessive adjectives a little bit more. So those of you who are joining me via Blackboard, I have included the site in the chat, so you can just copy and paste it and watch it on your own. And then we'll meet back in about 5 minutes. Okay? Yeah, this is pretty, I think I really like his videos, very interactive.
Español. In español, when we use nouns, we usually notice articles in front of the noun.
Okay, hold on.
Muy bien, esta lección es para los posesivos en español. In español, when we use nouns, we usually notice articles in front of the noun. If you've forgotten what articles are, you might review the videos on definite and indefinite articles. But for now, we have el lápiz, un lápiz, los lápices, unos lápices. La regla, una regla, las reglas, unas reglas. If you remember, el, la, los, and las all mean the. Un, una mean one or a, and unos, unas mean some. But what if I want others to know who the object or objects belong to? That's when possessive adjectives come in. Por ejemplo, mi lápiz, tu lápiz, su lápiz. Mi regla, tu regla, su regla. Bueno, if those objects are more than one, mis lápices, tus lápices, sus lápices. Mis reglas, tus reglas, sus reglas. So when the object is one, a possessive adjective, mi, tu, or su, is also one. Por ejemplo, mi perro, tu perro, su perro. When the object is more than one, so is the possessive adjective. Mis perros, tus perros, sus perros. So don't think of them as my dogs, but rather my dogs, or yours dogs, or his dogs, hers dogs. It's a little bit strange if you're really translating the English though. Also notice that we have tu perro, okay? But we've also learned in the personal pronouns, tu with an accent mark. These are both pronounced the exact same way. The only difference is for the accent mark when spelled, we know that it is you. Without an accent mark, it is your. If tu comes before a verb, or it's by itself, it's most likely referring to you. If it's right before a noun, it's referring to your. You also might notice the very last one, su, could be his, her, your, etc. So we have all these different meanings. For example, if I were to say su teléfono, it could mean Pablo's phone, Cecilia's phone, Carmen's phone, Juan's phone, your phone if I'm being formal with you, his phone, her phone, etc. For that reason, in times of confusion, we'll clarify with the object plus a de plus the person's name. With this example, el teléfono de Pablo, el teléfono de Cecilia, el teléfono de Carmen, el teléfono de Juan, el teléfono de usted, el teléfono de él, el teléfono de ella. Once we know whose we're talking about, that's when we can say su. So how about I show you a picture of some various vocabulary and the person who it belongs to, and you figure it out. Por ejemplo, you should have gotten mi cuaderno. Okay, te toca.
Señor Jordan.
You could first say el gato del señor Jordan, or once we know who we're talking about, su gato. Tu camisa. Mi guitarra. Los pantalones de Héctor. Could also be sus pantalones. Tu hamburguesa. Mis jeans. El marcador de Conchita o su marcador. Tus tenis. el libro de usted o su libro. Mi piña. El vestido de Ana o su vestido. Muy bien, that's all for this video. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions about this video. Gracias y adiós.
Okay, so let's return back to the session. And
Hola. Let's review what we learned in the previous lesson on possessive adjectives. Imagine that somewhere over here,
the new version? Oh. Okay. So for the possessive adjective, we just went over these first parts. This first part, the mi, tu, and su. We really didn't cover the nuestro and vuestro. So in English we have the same, we use possessive adjectives. They're my, your, his, her, it, our, theirs. And there's 7 in English. In Spanish we have 5, but then we have different forms of them depending on gender and number. Okay? So like I said, he covers the mi, tu, and su. And then if it's more than one, we say mi, tus, and sus. So we have the nuestro and vuestro, and then we have the feminine and the plural forms as well. Okay, so let's go on. And on the sheet I gave you, you have your chart here at the top. Okay, so it can remind you when you're working on Unit 24, you can refer to that chart. So me and me, it's my, okay? So you have to match it depending on if you're talking about something that's singular or plural. Same here with tu and sus. Okay, and then remember for su, there are other meanings to that. It can mean her, his, or their, or you, your, formal. And then we have nuestro in different forms as well, and vuestro. Okay, so here's some examples. Mi coche es nuevo, that's my car, is new. Tu casa es grande, your house is big. Sus zapatos, see how we don't use su zapatos? Okay, we have to make it plural. Sus zapatos están de moda. And that can mean, have several meanings, your, her, his, their. Okay, we just need to read the entire the context of the paragraph or whatever we're reading to understand who they're referring to. Nuestro pan es bueno, our bread is good. Vuestras zanahorias son deliciosas. Your carrots are delicious. And when we use that form, that's referring to your as in plural. Okay? So now you guys have your practice and I want you guys to try it. Okay? Let's try 1 through 5. We'll go over the answers, and then we'll do 6 through 10. So let's do part 1. So we have your classes. Okay, you need to know which one is your. And then you need to figure out if you're going to use the singular or the plural possessive adjective. So let's take a look at it. So it's either tu or sus, good. And since we're talking about what more than one, we're going to use tus. And then what's the word for classes? Clases. Tus clases. Okay. So number 2, we have your formal. Yeah, so you have tu or sus. Muy bien. And then we're talking about telephone, there's only one. So it would be it's singular. That has to be singular as well. This one's the formal form.
So we do.
So it's two. Formal. So it's two. Yeah, this one's the informal. The formal is that one. What is sun?
Son, hijo.
Hijo. Okay, so we have tu teléfono muy bien. His son, so now we have to find his,
Su,
su hijo, one. And then,
so when they're talking about like family members, is that always from? Oh, never mind, okay. I see. So
Yeah,
you're
they have
more
other
than
ones.
one here.
and then the next one, very similar to number 3, but we're talking about children, that's more than one. So, what would that one be? Number 4. So if it's more than one,
Sus hijos.
sus, hijos. Hijos. Take a look at this one. Okay, very good. So we need to look up what her is. And then dress, how would we say that?
Vestido.
Vestido. Su vestido. Okay, so let me share that with the students who are with me online. Okay, so I walked around and this is what we came up with. So the first one is, it's not letting me. Thank you. Oh, you can't see it. I'm just going to write it here. The first one is sus clases. Number 2, we said it was su teléfono, right? 3, su hijo. Just we're referring to only one. And then when it's more than one, we have for number 4, sus hijos. Number 5, we have su vestido. Okay. Now let's go to the second part. So work on 6 through 10. Okay, we're going to get into the other forms. Yeah, and you can just write it in the chat text box. So 7. Remember, you have to match it with gender and number. So nuestro can be either nuestra, nuestras, or nuestros. Friends? Me, from one friend, amigo, more than one is. So you said, so to discuss la casa, you're going to have to change it to feminine instead of A. And then computer, computadora, and same thing here. With that, with your plural, you have to use this one. Usually the West don't have it. Oh, you did? Okay. So now, West, how do you say food? Last, it's feminine. So we have to change that to feminine. Comida. Okay, so let me just take a look at the party dollar. So we're using dollar here. We're talking about more than one. So it'd be a nuestro or nuestro. How do you say computers in Spanish? Yeah, so it's, yeah, This one would be nuestro. No es computadora. It would be one. And then if your is plural, so we're using the word for one. And then that has to do with next year. And so just check those two. And then the next one. Comida, food is comida. So you just take out the extra one. Okay? So 6 numbers. Okay, so let me review 6. What did we come up with? Number 6, his shoes. What's that? Sus zapatos. Muy bien. More than one. Number 7, our house. Nuestra casa. Muy bien. Number 8. Computadora. Good job. Number 9. Vuestra. We're using the vuestro form. We're changing that to feminine. Vuestra comida. And then the last one, how would you say, my friends? Mis, more than one, amigos. Great. Okay, so that's our practice. Like I said, if you complete this, this could be your sample work. Okay, and I'm going to go over possessive pronouns. We're not going to have as much practice. If you have any questions next time we meet, we'll go over those questions. So possessive pronouns, they're going to replace a noun, and they're going to show possession at the same time. So we have a list here. We have mine, yours, his, hers, its, ours, theirs. Very similar. And in Spanish, they translate to mío, tuyo, suyo, nuestro, and vuestro. Okay, so we have 5 forms here as well. And then each of these matches gender and number. We're going to have to switch depending on what we're talking about. Okay. So in Spanish, the definite article, el, la, los, las, is going to go along with the possessive pronoun, and it reflects agreement with gender and number. Okay. So let's look at the examples. El mío es mejor que el tuyo. Mine is better than yours. Okay? So the noun replaced is masculine here. And if the nouns were feminine, it would be mía, la mía. Okay? But we're going to keep it to mío, el mío. Or la tuya in this case. Okay? When preceded by a form of the verb said, the definite article can be omitted. Okay, so you can take it out. So, for example, we have las plumas negras son nuestras. Okay, so you would need to say son las nuestras. Okay, and that's only when you have the form of said right before. El libro es mío. Same thing, you would need to say el libro es el mío. Right? We have the form of said before. Okay, so I'll give you guys some time to finish that with an example. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you are okay with moving on to the next slide. Okay. More examples. Este libro es mío, pero este libro es tuyo. This book is mine, but that book is yours. So again, we have mío and tuyo. And then your pants are blue, but mine are red. Tus pantalones son azules, pero los míos son rojos. Okay? So what's next? Okay, you're going to submit your response to Central Question 8 in Middlebury to get credit for this week. So that's the end of our session. If you guys have any questions or you need help with anything, you can stay after. Thank you for joining me.